So, hi there. This is just the first part of the CFEE project management 6-hour course, but it's often with online things that you can miss the first few minutes. It's quite easy because it's new to miss it. So what I decided to do is to repeat this actually on YouTube so that you can have a look at it at any time or go back to it to make sure you've got it all right. This is called actually a project sprint because we have to do this very quickly. We've only got 6 hours to do it, and there's a lot of material to get through. But how I've done this is that you're going to learn by doing. I'm not just going to feed you lots of information, which you can get by reading lots of books if you like. Rather, what we'll do is work through a project. You'll be doing it in teams, just as if you did a project normally. And the project itself is actually explained on the website, and I'll explain it during the course. So welcome, here we go. The course is based on what are called deliverables. Deliverables are files or something that is the completion of a number of tasks. And that's what you'll be required to do. I will teach a bit. You will do something, I will teach a bit more, and you'll do some more. And every now and again, I'll pop into the groups and see how you're going. And what I'll be after is a status report, and I'll talk about that in a second. So just to reiterate, what we're doing here is we're actually doing a project, and you're learning about projects by doing one. And I know most of you know this stuff inside out, but that's not what the CFEE program is about. It's as much as making sure that you're at that level as teaching. So hopefully you'll get some good stuff out of this. It'll certainly be unusual, and it'll be very quick. Now, the way to do it is that you're going to be in teams. This will be run as a virtual project. Done quite a lot of these since around about the year 2000, and it works very well if you just follow a few guidelines. You don't have to. You can do it as a mess if you like, but you'll never get through it. So the event itself, you'll have to decide on. I'll explain that during the course. Then you'll go through these things, and once again, I'll explain these. If you don't know these terms, then don't worry. That's the whole point of doing a course. If you know all these terms, then see how quickly you can apply them. So this is what it's about, a bit of a flow chart for you, very common in project management. So firstly, make sure when you get in your team, or do it right now, look at what the deliverables are so you know them inside out. When you get with your team, you have to decide who's going to deal with me, because I'll be popping in every now and again and asking questions, and we don't want everybody answering. I just want one person. Then also decide on who's got an Excel skill, who's good at Excel, because each of the deliverables will be a worksheet in an Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't know those terms, you're not the person. So make sure you find that person in your group. One of the questions you'll ask, no doubt, is how much detail is needed. Well, you can actually measure the detail by the amount of time that you've got to do it. So once again, just like events, look at the end product. The end product is the event, final project proposal, and work your way backwards to see how much time you've got it and how you can allocate the time. And there is your first lesson in project management. Work from the asset backwards. So each time we teach, there'll be a session. You'll be able to fill in one of those worksheets, whoever will be doing that. Now, have a think about matching the skills with the deliverables. Some people will be really good at some things and at other things. So make sure you match those, because that's the most efficient way to do a project sprint, right? In other words, things are going to be done quickly. So get the people with the experience in those areas to do them. All right, so, and there's lots of information you can get as well on the website, etc. Okay, so you fill in those things. Every now and again, I will pop in and I will ask, what's the status report? And here's your second lesson in project management. Project management that is about delegation. must have status reports. You must know how people are doing, how well they're up to. And you don't want them to rattle on about it. You want them to tell you exactly where they're up to. So that's a very important skill, particularly with online teams. At the end of it all, you will send it to me after the second day. Okay. Right, next. So what is this project management stuff? Well, the project management is your professional theory of how you actually deliver an event. Have a think about what event manager means. It's sort of a bit of a misnomer, really, because on the event and all the events I've done, really, you're not doing a lot during the event itself. I mean, you're just waiting around for problems. If you're smart, you've done all the work beforehand, and you're standing around just checking everything is going according to plan. And when the problems inevitably pop up, you're able to deal with them because you've got a nice, clear head. So during the event, you're not actually doing much, but during the lead up to the event, you're doing all the gazillion things that you've got to do, you know, rigging people and negotiating and making sure, and all these things. That's what you get paid for. You get paid for that, the hours that are spent leading up. So it's the actual project management stuff that you're getting paid for, really. So you need some way to describe it. There's no point in just saying, oh, I just get an event together. Well, that doesn't tell anyone anything. It certainly is not a way of getting it well paid. So as you can see here, unskilled is what you'll learn on the job. A trade is someone who's competent. They have a specialist language. They're practical. A profession, which is if you want to be a profession, then you must have specialist terminology and you can explain the process. Not the event. The event's easy to explain. It's the process of getting it together. How do you explain that? And that's what project management does. So I will be teaching this. Okay. So what we're doing here is we have to look at the project environment, if you like. We can't go into that in any great detail. Then we'll be actually looking at the project management itself and the tools and techniques, some of them only. And this is just a sort of start for you. Perhaps you know all this sort of stuff. Either way, we need to make sure that we're all at least at that one level for the CFEE. Basically, the event environment or the project environment is generally, it never used to be, by the way. I know that. It is now, though. It's all about government and company or city policy, and often these have development strategies there somewhere, whatever city you're in or whatever region you're in. There may well be economic or social or tourism development strategies or plans. They call them all different things, but basically they're a strategy. And if to a degree you're lucky or unlucky, I don't know, but there will be an events development strategy. I'll show you those in a second. And that will have to do with how you're going to create new events, how do you get new events into the area, how do you get rid of events that are no good. An important part of a strategy, by the way, and often forgotten. How do you get rid of events and how do you bid for events? And that's called an events development strategy. What's some examples of all this? So I think I've got a stack of them here. Yeah, there we are. There's some from all around the world I just put together before this presentation. Okay, development strategies. These are all events development strategies from 4 or 5 different countries there and from specific cities like Auckland and etc. So your event generally has to fit under those sort of strategies. It's got to meet those tourism objectives or social development objectives, social capital they call it, or it might be brand objectives if you're doing, if you're trying to attract people to the city or making people happy that they're there. Could be brand objectives as well. All right, now I'm just going to introduce a concept that I've been using for the last 20 years or so to get work. And it's what's called the events maturity model. And it basically says that events and event sector and your event program within a city, a region, or a country follows a set path. And it's called a maturity model. And I'll just explain it very quickly. And you can see where your city or town or wherever they are in what's called this maturity model. Now, possibly the reason I know about this sort of stuff is that I work in, well, I have worked in about 30 or 40 countries, and I've been doing this for about 40 years. So I've actually watched the event sector evolve over the years all around the world in a variety of countries. And so what I did is put together this sort of model. At the beginning, everything was ad hoc. What does that mean? Well, well, you know what it means. It's sort of the event team or the event manager, or they just put events together. It's not, it's a very personal thing that they do. Then planning started to come in. Okay, they had to have plans, you know, they realized companies started forming. Then they had what's called integrated planning, which means they had a management system, and that's what we'll be talking about with regard to project management. Then what happened in a lot of countries was that standards started to come in and the government got involved. And that's basically because the event industry became so important economically that the government wanted certain standards. And you'll know that, for example, you guys got the ANSI standard in the States for safety now. That's popped out. I hope you had a look at that. It's actually very well written. So standards start coming around and things become quite predictable. And the next level for this is to have that sort of stability, but still be flexible, still be able to change things. A good example of that in the world is Scotland, in Edinburgh. They're definitely at that, at the most mature level, and they're very flexible. They come up with ideas all the time. And I've seen this in all sorts of countries. And just a quick example, I don't want to go into it too much just because I'm working on it, but it does fit in with the project management stuff. If you're interested, you could always have a look at my book on it. We're just doing a second edition now, which really focuses on this maturity model and therefore finding the gaps in a portfolio or a program of events, finding those gaps in the competency of events people, like how good they are at things. And looking at the return on investment for the program of events. And this is a quick example of one. You can use this model, as you can see, on a variety of areas. In this case, I put it with regard to just one tiny aspect, which is crowd management. And you can have a read of that at your leisure. We won't go into it because it's not core to this course, unfortunately, because I think it's quite a very important part of event management. And a much higher level, these maturity models are used in all professions, by the way. And I'm just introducing it to the events. Okay, so getting to project management itself, that's the project environment, the strategies, the maturity model, etc. And this is what I'll be teaching. So it's a collection of tools that have been honed over many centuries. Basically, what we've done is got it and then applied it to events. Why not? You know, it's applied to everything else. And also, you'll find actually, if you use the terminology of project management, if you're not already doing it, you'll find a lot easier to communicate with engineers and accountants and all the rest of these people because they understand it. Most of the operations people, military, all the rest of it use project management speak or project management terminology. So it's actually good, and also sponsors do. So it's actually the methodology of our profession. And this is what it looks like. And this is where I'll say goodbye because that was the introduction part, just in case you missed it when we did it live. And you can go back over it and have a look at those things and obviously stop them. And now we will get ready for the big course. And I look forward to meeting you all. I'll be seeing you later.